And we are live. Welcome to this edition of Wealthy Wednesday. Oh my goodness, today I'm so excited. I got up at 1 a.m., 12 a.m. Oh my gosh, I got to tell you, I haven't even slept. I'm just so excited. Well, my name is Leah Garcia, financial strategist and insurance professional, and it's my crusade to help you properly protect, distribute, and transfer your wealth so that you can build that legacy and create generational and multi-generational wealth for your family. But today it's not about me. It's about my incredible, amazing, spectacular guest speaker today. We talk about who mentors a mentor. That's this person here. He's one of my personal mentors, and it's an honor to and a pleasure to have him on my show this morning. And the thing is, people say a lot of people call themselves a leader. But if you listen to John Maxwell, he says anyone who thinks they're a leader yet has no one following them is simply taking a walk. And this man has a following. I'm telling you, if you are a thought leader, you want to be a leader, a business executive, or you are an entrepreneur, business owner, this is a man who creates incredible content for free. And by the way, also has additional services that you can, work with him as well. He is a SWAM executive champion as well as an advocate for executives. Please give it up for the incredible Coach Powell. Coach Powell, take it away.
Thank you so very much, Leah. I just love hanging out with you anytime I get a chance. And thank God for these virtual spaces that we get to play in nowadays. In the old days, I would never be able to build a friend that's all the way out in California. Here I am on the East Coast and you on the West Coast. We get to share some amazing opportunities to work together and help entrepreneurs and business leaders grow and find different ways to really just find that opportunity for themselves. So I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be here on the show. I love what you do, and I just can't wait to just pour out to your audience anything of substance, anything of any type of uh, wisdom or character that I think I have. Let's bring it. Let's go.
And he is going to bring it. I promise you. He holds nothing back. And that's what I love is that he's such a giving spirit. And really the first time that we connected, we just kind of embraced each other. And what's that's a beautiful thing because a new currency, in my humble opinion, is collaborations. And when you can find those collaborations, they say a rising tide raises all boats. The caveat is your boat has to be in the water. So I honor all of you for having your boat in the water today, or if you watch this on the replay in the future, this is definitely going to be one you're going to want to study and replay many times. So, Coach Powell, let's get right into this. Let's get right into this here. We have done quite a few events together. And every single time I take copious notes, I save them. Like this is literally, I have a Coach Powell folder. Okay. That's why I know that he gives incredible information. So I want to know as business, let's talk about entrepreneurs, business owners. What is the biggest, I call it a booby trap, blind spot that you see when it comes to somebody who's truly trying to get to that next level and looking at their leadership, or maybe they're not even aware of leadership? What is the biggest blind spot that you see in that area?
What's incredible about leadership is it is as comprehensive and as expansive as the DNA of every human being. There are no rules of thumb. I don't care what anybody tells you. There are no rules of thumb when it comes to people. What works for people is the thing that works for the people that you work for and work with. So you have to be very careful um, to understand the people that you work with and do it exceptionally well. Here's where the first thing I thought of when you asked me that question is literally this. And this is from my perspective as a master networker, as a person who engages with relationships and builds professional relationships exceptionally well. I help and teach and train others to do exactly that. The biggest thing I could think of that people do when leaders make in terms of mistakes is thinking that they're all alone, literally understanding and thinking that, you know, I'm the first person to ever do this, or nobody can help me with this, or nobody would help me with this, or I can't afford to find people who will give me their expertise and time and talent, or I'm not sure how to play this, and so on and so forth. So, I'm not going to really give it my all and my biggest and best effort. I'm just going to stick my toe in the water and test it and see what works, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is a waste of time. All that I call it background noise is a waste of time. We are here to do exactly what you just said, to collaborate. We are all here. Now, I don't care how talented or gifted any one of us is. Those talents and those gifts cannot shine and grow as brightly and as magnificently as they should if we are not masterful at coming up with all the collaborative skills and tactics and techniques that we need to master in order to create a maximum effort in any endeavor that human beings are a part of. And so my first thought is understanding and learning how to master collaboration truly.
Right.
This is the gift that if we all can embrace, the world would be such a much better place, specifically for small business and entrepreneurs, because small businesses don't necessarily have the bandwidth when it comes to employees or numbers of
Right.
employees, so they could take on some objective and they hand it off to a junior executive or somebody else to just run it down to Boston. They have to establish amazing relationships with people. It allows them to still stay small, but also be nimble enough to capture new and great things that are happening and are on the horizon right now. Some of the people are concerned like with things like AI. It's like, oh my God, AI is coming. What's this going to mean? Blah, 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 blah. Don't kill yourself on that. Find the expert that you can work with to help you work through whatever and whatever you think, however AI may be effective in your organization, in your business. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to, become a programmer and really understand how it all works and get behind. You don't need to get up under the hood on this thing. You just need to know how to drive the vehicle, right? So it's important that you find people who can help you learn to drive instead of going, oh, woe is me. It's going to be a horrible thing. I don't need to understand it. And by the way, that's with all things technology. I'm a big believer that, we get killed by the things that we don't know. And it's not the things that we don't know. It's the people that we don't know. If you have somebody that's going to help you understand the PESTLE is an acronym, right? It stands for political, economic, social, technological, legal, and ecosystem advantages. These are all the micro level things that affect your business and affect your life, really. If you don't have people who are specialists in each of those 5 categories to really, really help you, then that should be the next order of business for you. Who do I know who's a political mastermind and really understands how this particular environment might affect my business? You need to have them on your advisory council, on your hero council, on your team, as a consultant, whatever you need to do. Who do I have that legally that understands, what's going to be affecting my business 20, 30 years from now? Who do I know who's from a technological perspective who can keep me and making sure I know what's the new and latest and greatest, again, that's in my wheelhouse, in my business that I'm going to be doing, whether that business is financial services, legal services, or accounting, or whatever kind of services that is. You need to have people who are expert at that. And we can't be scared to reach out to experts.
Wow. Oh my goodness. There's a lot to unpack there. So much great wisdom. And we have a few people joining us. I'm not sure, somebody, LinkedIn user. Happy Wealthy Wednesday, Coach Powell, to you for sure. So let's start with a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs. They think that they're alone. And I really see this a lot. So they spend a lot of time researching the product. They have a beautiful logo. They create a website. Maybe even they get a physical office and they have some success. And then they kind of start turning around and they realize they don't know how to get themselves to that next level. And they feel like now they've got to find some different types of systems that they have to put in. Maybe they have to research what kind of coaches that they have. So why is it that you think that putting in, to me, that's like an infrastructure? Why do you think a lot of business owners don't put in that infrastructure, say if it's not built into their system, right? They're the owner, the operator, the investor, that's all of them, but they don't realize that they need other people. Why do you
Right.
think that is?
Because they bought into the lies that we were all told. And the biggest lies we were all told, and just it's particularly interesting how the Western world, I'm gonna leave it at that, tends to believe that these lone maverick type of ideas. Like you're gonna be a hero if you carry the whole world on your own shoulders and you do it all by yourself and you do it under your own steam and you do it under your own resources and so on and so forth. And that's the smartest way to go. Well, that's the way to get literally, when you think about it, that's the way to get you isolated and alone,
Yeah.
right? And if you're isolated and alone in any human environment, because you have to forgive me. One of my majors is sociology, so I majored in sociology, economics, and Pan African studies, and I've learned, how vulnerable human beings are when left to their own devices.
Yeah.
When you're left to your own devices, there's nobody to check your ideas to see if that idea is useful or meaningful in the communities that you work in. And if that's the case, then you're going to be running them up, saying and doing things that really don't matter, don't have any meaning for anybody except yourself. And there's no checks and balances in that system. So we all work in an ecosystem. We all work in a community. We all work in a family. We all work in an environment. And in that environment, we need to be relevant. We need to be meaningful. We need to be significant. I call it getting your MRS degree, right? You want to be meaningful, relevant, and significant in any environment that you get a chance to play in. But how do you know if you're not plugging into everybody else? How do you know if you're not checking in with everybody else? If you're not a feedback monster? I mean, if you're not really getting the information that's coming back to you that's suggestive in the markets that you want to play in, that you're doing the thing that you need to do at the right level, at a high level. If you're not engaging, you'll never know. And there's two secrets to this kind of engagement that I talk about. But most people will never tell you this. If you want to trust, you want people to, if you want to earn or benefit from the trust that others have, then you need to ask them for the trust. And what I mean by that is we all have a trust litmus test, right? And it all boils down to this: character and competence. We want people to know that we have the right character and that we're competent, all right? Because that's what they need to know in order to fully trust us. And when they trust us, they will give us that trust when you get there, right? So they'll give us the benefit of the doubt, they'll support us, they'll invest in us, they'll buy our products and services, they'll do everything because there's trust, right? But we have a problem because we think we know the magic secret to everybody's trust. And like I said earlier at the top of the show, everybody's an individual. So what it takes to earn my trust and what it takes to earn your trust might be two different things. The smart person that wants to earn my trust or earn your trust, Leah, probably should ask the question, hey, Leah, I want to earn your trust such that you'll be comfortable introducing me to the most influential people in your network and the most influential people in your world. Tell me what I should do. What should I show you? What do you need to know about me? What do you need to understand in order to make that possible? And if I make all those things possible, can I have the trust? Will you do that? Will you trust me in that way? Why should I spend my time building websites and throwing up all these different social media posts and creating all these different types of ideas and so on and so forth in hopes that maybe one day you might actually look at it and go, you know what? I really trust this guy and I'm going to give him blah, blah, blah. When I could just ask you directly.
Wow. That was a golden nugget, golden bar. I think that is the secret. And what that comes from, in my opinion, and I'd love to know your feedback, is being willing to be, people talk about being vulnerable, being authentic. You have got to get down, dirty, and naked with your potential prospect to be able to ask them that question, because they may say some things that you don't care for. They may
Right.
open up some areas that you are uncomfortable with. They may
For sure.
expose some weaknesses in you. So what do you think about that, Coach Powell?
So like I said earlier about being a feedback monster, that's feedback, right? If you ask somebody for their trust, and they give you information, even information that makes you uncomfortable. It's all feedback. And it's the feedback that lets you know either you're playing with the right people or the wrong people, or you're playing the right game or the wrong game, or you're doing something, but it's giving you feedback. Now, if you continue to get that same feedback from other people and then you don't believe it, what is that saying about you? You're
Yeah.
asking for something from someone else, but you're not willing to give up anything of yourself in order to get something from someone else, right? You have to be willing to be the first. If you're going to be a leader, you got to be willing to go first and to take the risk that you might get rejected, or somebody might tell you no, or somebody might say, I don't really like that idea, blah blah blah. Let me tell you, this is the perfect example. I think your listeners are going to get a lot out of this. In the days when I was a financial advisor, I used to have a criteria by which I would accept my clients, my new clients. And I would tell them right up front in 5 minutes before we even talked about anything related to business. I would tell them something similar to this, because I can't remember all the details anymore. It's been years. But I would tell them first, if we agree to work together, then you and I are going to agree to sit down for our annual review every year on time as scheduled. I will be open and flexible if you need to change the schedule. But if you miss that meeting, I'm going to refer you to a junior associate and they're going to follow up with you. And I'm not taking your call anymore because it's that serious. We might catch something in the annual meeting that we didn't catch somewhere along the
Right.
year that we need to pay attention to. And I need to make sure that your goals are met, and I'm going to stay in front of it. And I'm hoping that you want to stay in front of it too. But I'm taking your goals seriously, and so I need to check in with you on that annual review, and we can't miss that meeting. That is a critical meeting. So if you can agree with me, then we can move on. They'll say, yeah, that makes sense. And then I'll say, okay, rule number two. Rule number two is you need to understand that I'm going to ask you a ton of questions, some of which you will have no clue as to why I'm asking them, because I'm the expert in this space. But what I will do for you, and I promise you I'll do this for you, if you have a question about a question that I'm asking you, this is in the discovery process, right? If you have a question about the questions I'm asking you, stop me right then and there, and I will explain why I'm asking you this question, because there's a reason for every question that I'm asking you that I need to know so I can give you the best advice possible, the best advice known to man. And if you can agree with that, we can continue. And they said, yes, we can agree with that. Boom, we can continue. Rule number three, I need you, if we agree to work together, not to keep me a secret. I'm never going to spend money putting my face on a bus or on a marketing or billboard. I'm never going to spend money. And now today, in all of these, various different marketing, I'm not going to say scams. I'm going to say marketing opportunities uh, that people so-called have to blow my business up and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to do that. I depend on my clients to become stark raving fanatics for me, so that they will then refer me not down the market but up the market. That means refer me to people that they respect. Refer me to people that you hold in high regard, and that you adore. I'm not interested in talking to your cousin or the people that look up to you or that depend on you. Yeah, I'm not really that interested in talking to them, because they've got a long way to go before they're ready to even work with a person like me. But I'm interested in working with the people, your boss's boss. I'm interested in working with the CEO of your company. I'm interested in working with and talking to and getting to meet the people who are responsible for your mortgage, people who sold you your house, the people who you depend on for accounting. Those are people that I want to talk to, and those are the referrals that I want. And if we can agree that those will be people that you'll be willing to help me out, if I'm able to do a good job with you, we can continue. Now, what have I done?
Wow.
Right up front, I have guaranteed that if they say yes to all three of my questions, I'm going to have I'm going to be able to deliver my A game. I'm going to be able to do for them what I really want to do and treat them as a top level A client, pull out all the stops and so on and so forth. No, I can't afford to do that with everybody. Everybody who wants me, I can't take them. I have to be very narrow and very focused because I only have so much effort and so much energy to give. And I have to be very careful about where I spend that energy. That's another rule that you need to think about, and entrepreneurs should think about. Where are you putting your energies? Are you putting your energies in things that matter? Or are you putting your energies in things that, are just fun to do? Because I suggest that you can do both. You can put your energies in things that are fun to do and that matter. And when you do that, guess what? You don't run out of energy.
That right there. Though I come here as a speaker, but I promise you, I'm here as a student. Okay. So I'm taking notes. What you just said about pre-framing your clients, that's really what you're doing. You're pre-framing, setting the expectation, what
That's
they
right.
can expect from you, and at the same time, what you're going to expect from them, because it's a lot of work to bring on a new client. It truly
Absolutely.
is. So
Absolutely.
I think that's probably the case in any industry, right? To build up that
Absolutely.
rapport with a new client. So, so gosh, how can I put this? So I truly believe that so many people get burnout because they are putting their energies on every squirrel and they don't know what's important. Dr. Benjamin Hardy says that if everything is important, then nothing is important. And we have to
Yes,
be
yes.
able to distinguish the difference between urgent and important. Everything's urgent. Your kids
Yes.
call you. The car, somebody hit your parked car, things like that. Things happen. And if you're constantly being pulled in all these directions and you don't allow yourself to concentrate and really focus, you're going to be spinning your wheels.
So true.
So, is that something that you see happen quite a bit?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is a problem. And I was just speaking to the group about this just yesterday. Um, there are people who have ADD, right? Meaning they really can't focus. Or their focus is a different type of focus. It's a divergent type of focus versus a narrow type of focus. And what that means is there's so many things that could pull at their attention in any given moment. They can focus, but they can't focus for a long time on any one thing, right? It's very difficult for them if when they can, right? And they have to do things to really, really bring their focus back to, bring their focus back to, bring their focus back to the thing that they're supposed to be doing or working on. Now that takes a lot of energy,
Yeah.
right? But for those of us who don't have ADD, right, who or any type of neurological issues that would make our focus, divergent versus convergent, right? Um, those of us who don't have any issues with that still have to focus.
Right.
But the problem for us when it comes to focus is we focus so hard on the thing that we're focusing on that we don't pay attention sometimes to the thing that we should be paying attention to because we've chosen to focus on this thing, right? And that's usually the kiss of death for a lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders because they're focusing so much on the thing that they think they're supposed to focus on, and they're missing the opportunity to focus on the thing that matters. And that's why I tell you, you can't do it by yourself because there's people around you who can see some things that you should be focusing on, and they could tell you, they can knock on the door, or they could call you up, or send you a text message or whatever, say, "Wake up! This new thing is happening, and I know you told me you were doing blah 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 blah, and so you might want to put some time and attention into this thing over here because I know this is right in your wheelhouse. This makes absolutely perfect sense for you, and this is something that is right for you." You want people seeing opportunities for you while you're busy focusing on the thing that you're focusing on. You want others out there going, "Oh, this is right for you. This is right. You should check this out. This is an important thing. Oh, this new idea that I just had aligns perfectly with what you told me your mission and your vision and the goals that you set for yourself are." But we're not used to doing it. We're not used to depending on others in that way because we're not used to telling others what they need in order for us to be able to depend on them. So it's a communication issue. If you have people around you who could be doing more, they could be doing more. There's a reason they're not doing more, because they're not putting their full faith in what you're saying and what you're doing. If they understood what you were doing and how it benefits them, then they have no reason to reject you. They have no reason to say no. They have no reason to work sort of, kind of, almost on the thing that you're working on, right? But if they could, they can have full trust, and this is the reason why I'm on this show today. I have absolute full trust in you, Leah. And what that means is when you say, this is something I think I'd like to do with you, or something I think you want to do, I'm saying yes. I'm saying yes. And I'm not even going to think about it. I don't have to. You already did that thinking for me. And I trust you, right? That's what it's all about. It's all about trust. So how can you get to trust fast? How can you get to trust quickly? This is the question that everybody's afraid to ask. And I gave you a hint earlier. If you want to trust, ask for it. And then ask, and then help work to collectively be together so that it makes sense. Because if it doesn't make sense, then it's going to come up in your collaborative understanding of how you get to whatever the trust is that you want. But you got to be specific, right? You can't just say, just trust me. I want you to do this, or I want to do this with you. I need for you to trust me enough to help me make it happen. What do I need to do for you to give me that trust?
Wow.
It's that simple. I have gotten advisory council members. I've gotten business development opportunities. I've gotten so many opportunities because I'm not afraid to ask for the trust that I want people to give me.
Yeah. And I think that I'd love to know what you think, but to me, what's coming up is that a lot of people don't trust themselves. So it's very difficult for them to ask somebody truly eyeball to eyeball, because that's an eyeball. I call that's a right between the eye question. When you ask somebody, what do I need to do to earn your trust? That is that's a gloves off question. And in order to do that, I'm even getting chills saying that, because in order to do that, we have to trust ourselves. We have to be able to have that correct vibration, that it comes clear, succinct, and sincere, that they know we are asking that a direct question because we're expecting to be able, because we trust ourselves enough to know that we qualify to earn their trust.
Right. I say that, integrity is what I call inside trust, meaning you know that you can do or you will do the thing that you say you will do. How do you know? Because you've done it yourself. You've done it for yourself, with yourself. And so now others can trust you to do the exact same thing, right? You have, and by the way, each one of us has loads of integrity around something, right? Some of us have loads of integrity around smoking and drinking. All right. So, and we can be dependent on to help somebody else with those same ideas and concepts, right? Because that's where we have loads of integrity. Whether it is a sin or bad thing for you health wise or whatever that is, that's not the question I'm posing. I'm posing is, where is it that you have integrity in your business, in your life? Because those things are the things that you can expect that people will trust you for, because it's ingrained in your habits, it's ingrained in your DNA. And so if you want for people to trust you in certain areas, you better be about doing everything that you need to do to prove to yourself, like you said, Leah, first of all, that you've got the right stuff in that space. I'm not saying you have to know everything or have to have every experience, right? But you have to have enough to be comfortable that when you look somebody in the eye and ask for that trust, they know you can do it. Another key concept here is we all have abundance in certain parts of our talents and gifting, right? Everything we've been given as human beings, right? We have been given some special things, and some things we've nurtured and grown, and some things we haven't. But we've been given some personal characteristics or some traits in our personality or character that really are useful and meaningful. But other people would love to enjoy that part of whatever we bring to the table, right? Our job, really, in my point of view, and this I'm all about purpose and mission in life, and my job is to help everyone become a better listener.
Mm.
Really, when you think about it. And that's what I want to do, because I know that if everybody that I get a chance to work with and talk to and becomes a better listener, I don't care how your elevator speech goes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I can teach you how to do all that stuff too. But most importantly, you need to learn how to listen to the people that you truly want to impress. If you are listening to them, they're going to tell you the thing that is going to make their heart sing. They're going to tell you what they enjoy. They're going to tell you what their experience has taught them or brought them, what gift they've been out allowed to strengthen as a result of their life experiences, and so on and so forth. And once you start reflecting back to them, so what I hear you saying is that time when you had this issue, so on and so forth, it changed you in this direction, and you haven't been the same since. And they're going to go, yep, 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 that's exactly what it is. And guess what? That person, every time they agree with you, and you show back to them what they said about themselves that was great and amazing, they're going to start to fall in love with you. They don't have a choice. Something's going to happen. The minute they start to agree that you get them and you understand where they're coming from, all of a sudden, and dopamine is starting to fire off in their brain. Serotonin is starting to fire off in their brain. Oxytocin is starting to fire off in their brain, and they're starting to focus on you. They're starting to fall in love with you, and they're starting to begin that process of truly connecting with you in a way that you now have something that you can leverage. You're building a relationship.
Gosh, that's so good. I love what you're saying because I think a lot of times people think building rapport is, oh, you like football? I like football too. Oh, you did this body language? Let me do this body language too. And that is so like that's preschool. Okay. That's the
Right.
beginning of getting in synchronization with somebody.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
in order to really make that connection, in my mind, what's coming up for me is that's when we have to, and karate, we call it leaving ourselves at the door. We bow at the dojo. A lot of people think it's about respect, and it is, but it's also about leaving our troubles, leaving ourself at our ego and all of that at the door so that you
Yes.
come in clean and you are just focused on what we're going to train on. And I think
Right.
so many times people are in their own mind when they're sitting with a client and they're thinking about themselves. Like we have to leave ourselves there and truly come in integrity, in honesty, and truly wanting to know what is important to them.
Right.
Otherwise, whatever they say, we're going to circle it back to what we think we heard.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
I think you're absolutely true. And getting our ego out of the way is such a difficult thing to do. The more we grow dependent on something, whether that's a talent or a skill or an industry or some kind of, you know, uh, role that we've been assigned or accepted, all of a sudden it comes with a whole lot of ego. And uh, there is, I learned this in the military, there is really no leader who doesn't know how to follow. A good leader always knows how to follow. And right, and that delves right into, what the Bible says about servant leadership, right? Understanding that we're all here to serve one another. And even if you are a leader, you should be thinking, how can I serve? How can I bring what my God-given talents and abilities are to whatever effort that I'm engaging in, because I want to do it in a way that's going to be best for me and someone else. Stephen Covey said, I remember it when I was first trained on the highly 7 habits of highly effective people, and learned to be a master trainer and all that kind of stuff in that particular thought process. But one of the things that I take away with all the time is looking for the win-win solution, right? What's good for me and what's good for you at the same time, because that's something that we can sustain. That's something we can have a party over. That's something that we can continue to come back to over and over and over and over again. If it's transaction, one of us wins and one of us loses, right? But if I'm thinking about longevity and how we can continue to play together, right? Even into our older ages, right? I'm thinking win-win. I'm thinking, how can we both benefit? Because I don't want to come back next week and be embarrassed to talk to you
Yeah.
because somehow I took advantage or it was a win-lose situation. Whether you won and I lost or I won and you lost, either way, we're still embarrassed. Because even if I lost, I'm embarrassed that I was stupid enough to fall for whatever game that you played, right? And if I won, I'm embarrassed I took advantage of you in ways that maybe I shouldn't have. And maybe you don't even know about it, right? The subtle difference between influence and manipulation is intent, right? They look the same in many of their activities, right? So it's difficult especially for um, people who don't have wisdom and discernment, right? Those in other words, right? People don't have those things at the ready can fall for personality, and they're not really personality, character, whatever, without substance behind it, integrity. That's what we talked about earlier, right? Without behind it, authentic and genuine character behind it, then they're going to come up with, they're going to fall for it. And that person is going to get used and abused. The world is full of people who have been used and abused. We've all been used and abused, especially in our earlier or younger lives before we began to be able to see, wait a minute, I saw this before and I remember the pain and suffering. But we don't have to experience the pain and suffering if we be willing to just tell each other the stories. If we be willing to say, oh, you know what, this happened to me and this happened to me, instead of um, swallowing that pain and that program or that process, and sort of like, well, they just have to learn it the hard way, like I learned it. Why? No, they don't. They do not. They deserve to have the wisdom of that experience that you had, whether it was good or bad, so that they can learn and get there faster wherever they're trying to go. And I mean the general they open in the community. So we got to do a lot less of this isolated. I'm hoarding my ideas and my thoughts, and a lot less of this. I'm a small business and I'm in competition with everybody. No, you're not. Stop lying to yourself. You're not Xerox or Coca-Cola or you're just Johnny Joe, somebody with a sign out that's looking for business opportunities. And there's enough for everybody. There's really enough for everybody if we just focus on, where your gifts are and what you're good at, and where you're great.
That's so good. And that's a perfect segue to us to kind of winding down. I want to circle back to something you said in the very beginning, which is a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, we think that we are alone. And you called it a maverick. We want to be the maverick, which, by the way, is my precious grandson's name. And he absolutely is like so independent. He's so incredible. He's 5.5 and he teaches me things all the time. But what I want you to kind of unpack a little bit is, and you kind of hinted to it, you alluded to it, we can't check our own work, right? We need that layers of, and I say layers of
Hmm.
leadership and
Hmm.
mentorship. So if
Hmm.
somebody's watching this and they have a business, maybe they're a contractor, maybe they do have that copy company, or maybe they're a realtor, right? Maybe they're in financial services. What should they start to ask themselves, or what should they look for in developing and looking for those leaders and mentors for to help them get to that next level?
Okay, so first of all, I got to. You just reminded me of something that I think is going to be important to share. And there are literally 5 helping professions, I call them, that people can do for you. There's your advisor, there's your consultant, there's your mentor, there's your therapist, and there's your coach, right? Everybody fits into one of those categories, right? So imagine yourself an expert racer, right? You're gonna be a bike rider. You're gonna ride literally a physical bike, and you want to do it at a high level. Okay, the consultant is going to tell you which products to buy. They're going to tell you,
Yeah.
this is the bikes. These are the bikes that are working best for people who want to do these kinds of races, and this is the equipment that you need, this is the technology that you need, this is how you manage your heart rate and your speed and all that kind of stuff. This is how you measure all those things so you can perform well and you can practice and da da da. This is what you need to get this, all the stuff you need to make this happen. That's what the consultants are going to do for you. And the good consultants are either going to help you go out and find it, identify it, start working with it, and work with it well. Advisors are going to tell you, okay, if you really want to do this well, these are the races that you need to run. These are the races you need to be involved in. These are the sponsors that you need to get. These are these are the people that you need to have working with you. This is how you build the team, and they're gonna help you figure that out, right? Your mentor is gonna go, I've been here in these races before, and these are the races that I did before. This is what I did well. This is what I didn't do so well. Here's what I learned. And if you listen to me, you can get there faster. You do that, those type of things, that because it's a skill I'm passing on. I'm telling you what the benefits. I've done the thing that you're trying to do, and this is where you're gonna find. And it, by the way, you can start mentoring somebody 15 minutes after you started doing the thing that you started doing, right? Because that's when you're learning. As soon as
Right.
you get going, you're learning. And as soon as you learn something, you really have somebody else that can share that learning with you, right? So mentorship is ongoing. You don't have to wait until you have won the Super Bowl, to mentor somebody. You as soon as you catch the ball, it's like, wait a minute, I got it. All right, okay. Oh, I'm learning a lot right now. That's the time you can start mentoring somebody. So don't be like, oh, I don't have time. I'm not ready to mentor all the time. All right, so I said I covered the advisor, the consultant, and the
The
mentor.
mentor.
Um,
Uh-huh.
the therapist, obviously, there are people out there who can help you get over yourself, right? They can help you, you know, um, figure out what's going on in the back of your mind that's keeping you from riding that bike. Right. There's because you don't want to, you're scared to get on, and you're scared to lean into the turn, you're scared to go hard, you're scared to do whatever you need to do. And there's something in your past that's causing that fear, that anxiety, that stress, that stuff like that. So, your good therapists are going to help you unlock that stuff so that you can move forward. I often tell a lot of my clients sometimes when it gets too deep and they're talking to me, I'm like, sounds like you're talking about therapy. And for me as a coach, my job is to engage you in the behaviors that are going to move you forward. And if you can't get on the bike, then I can't help you. You know, you got to get on the bike. You got to get on the bike. You can't be scared to try and ride the bike. You can't be scared of effort. Da 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 da. If that's the case, then you're not coachable, right? And that's what the coach is going to do for you. Now, of those 5 people, I suggest that you have 2 or 3 of each. Right? Some are going to be closer to you than others. Some are going to be a part of your inner circle, so to speak. But some are just going to be people that you can talk to every once in a while here and there. And you can pick up, a couple key advices. But the sum total of all of them is with them in when you have 2 or 3 advisors, 2 or 3 consultants, 2 or 3 mentors, 2 or 3 coaches, 2 or
Right.
3, therapist type of people. What is it that you can't do when you have that kind of quality on your team?
Wow. That's so money. This right here, wow. I wouldn't have never even known to ask that question. I've never even heard anyone describe it that way, but you are
Right.
so on point. And I think that this right here is really probably 95% of businesses that fail. I, I'm reflecting back on business owners that I've seen that are thriving and who are not thriving. And this is going to be something right here. So, and somebody trying to do something like a coach trying to be a consultant, right? Knowing that, listen, they're there to help you to engage in the behaviors.
Right.
You got to be willing to get on the bike. Well, we have been on the bike today. I feel like I have biked a marathon right now. My little brain is like, woo, it's a lot of information, good stuff, critical stuff though. This is something that is truly transformational. Somebody really does take this, Coach Powell, and they apply even half of what you've covered here today. They're going to have their ending, the 2024 is going to be something that their business will be unrecognizable in the next 12 weeks that we have winding down here. So that's going to kind of wind us up for today. Good grief. So how do they reach you? What does it look like to work with you? How do they get in touch with you? Everybody's going to want to get in touch with you after this. How do they start working
So
with you, Coach Powell?
so let me tell you, I don't work with everybody. I can't. I don't have the capacity. I'm not one of those people going to lie to you and go, well, just take my little sign up, this, that, and the other, and you can go off and run it and do it all by yourself. You can't. It's not going to really work that way. Coaching is about engaging, and coaching is about relationship. And so everybody I work with, I spend a good month just really truly getting to know them. And I don't mean getting to know them to my satisfaction. I mean getting to know them to their satisfaction. If there's not an indication in that first month that I truly understand what their issues are and what their problems are and the things that they need to solve, and the things that are blocking them, and things that are they need to get over, and hurdles they need to face. If I don't have a true understanding of that, then I can't coach them, right? And it's not fair. It's not fair for me to take their money, right? So that's why I have 100% money back guarantee. I can't put you on the field as a player for me if you're scared of the ball, or you can't run the routes, or you can't practice, or you don't have the time to put aside to really do the self-reflection that you have to do. And so I try to make sure I only engage with people who are ready, um, truly, to change their behavior. And I have a whole bunch of assessments and tests and things that I would give and share and talk to them through before we actively begin the coaching process. And so I'm very selective about who I work with. And so I will say, number one criteria is you need to be in business, and you could be in your industry, but I try to stay away from startup businesses, and you need to be a service business. So you need to be licensed to do what you do. That means you're an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, a financial advisor, a realtor, a mortgage professional. I like working with service businesses that have to carry some level of CE credits and things like that. That's super important to me, because that's the world I came from. I know a lot about that. I know how to sell intangibles. I know how to build advisory councils. I know how I have a new concept called the Hero Council, which is something that I started developing last year, and it's taken off like crazy, because people get that sometimes you have the wrong people on your advisory council. And
Yeah.
I tell people to use the think like Nick Fury. Do you know the Marvel character Nick Fury?
No.
Who Okay, so he was the guy who assembled the Avengers. The Avengers are some of the greatest heroes in the Marvel
Yeah.
universe,
Yeah.
and Nick Fury is the guy that kind of brought them together to deal with the world's greatest threats, right? So, but he doesn't have any superpowers. He's just a regular guy, right? Imagine if you had a whole bunch of superheroes in business on your team. They're on your advisory council, right? What could they do? Amazing things that you can't do. And then you brought them together and they're working together. That's the game changer. It's game over. And every entrepreneur, with the tools that we have available to us, like LinkedIn, and all the different social media tools and the video conference chats and all that kind of stuff, we have the reach to be able to meet and talk and chat and work with every person on the planet.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we find the best of the best and begin that process of assembling our own hero council? Because that becomes the network that will take you to levels that you can't even understand yet.
Yeah. That's what reminds me of Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He says, find the who, not how. When you have
Right.
the who, you don't have to know how. And I
Right,
always put it
exactly.
this way. I don't need to be the smartest person in the room. I just need to
Right.
know the smartest person in the room. I'm okay taking a back seat. I don't have to
Right.
be the S in every story, right? So this was so great. Thank you so much
I've,
for your
I've taken
time.
that
It's
mantra myself to a different level too. I've said, I've always tell people, it's not what you know, it's not who you know. It's who knows that you know what you know. you know, you know, because if the right people know what you know and they're on fire for you, then you're unstoppable.
Yeah. That's so good. I love it. This has been so fun. We're definitely going to have to do this again. I don't have any repeats yet on my show, but you for sure. You've got so much insight, so much wisdom, and you're so giving. I mean, we could literally take an hour and you covered about 10 topics in here that we could break down and do a whole workshop, a whole seminar. I mean, this is good stuff. So, and it's evergreen. I think it's things
Right.
that are relevant today, no matter what happens in the economy. These are foundational things that we need to implement if we're entrepreneur, business owner, self-employed individual. So thank you for your time, Coach Powell. It's
Thank
been
you,
an
Leah.
honor, a pleasure. As always, I've got 5 pages of notes here, so I've got some more studying to do, and I'm looking forward to the next time we get together because we've been doing some collaborations, but I'm pretty sure there's more in our future. So that's going to do it for this edition of Wealthy Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, we will see you all at the top because we all know it is way too crowded at the bottom. Thank you, champions.
I love it. I love it.